My knees buckled, and I sank to the cold concrete, the fabric clinging to my skin like a second betrayal. "Lincoln?" I whispered to the storm, my voice breaking for the first time since the accident that stole my silence. "Why did you make me love you again?" I hadn't spoken a full sentence in 731 days. Not since the screech of tires and the shatter of glass that took Jamie from me on that rain-slicked highway outside Portland. He was 17, all freckles and fire, the kind of boy who laughed like thunder and kissed like he was daring the world to strike him down. That hoodie, faded gray with frayed cuffs and a faint coffee stain from our all-nighters at the diner, was the last thing I grabbed from his truck before the paramedics pulled me away. I slipped it on right there in the ER waiting room, and it stuck. Literally and figuratively. It swallowed me whole, a shroud against the pitying stares, the whispered condolences from teachers and neighbors in our sleepy Oregon town. By the time I transferred to the University of Washington in Seattle for a fresh start, if you could call running away that, I'd become the ghost in the hoodie. Hood up, eyes down, words locked in my throat like a curse. Seattle suited my silence. The city dripped with perpetual gray, mirroring the fog in my head. I majored in environmental science, burying myself in labs and lectures where numbers didn't demand replies. My roommate, a perpetually optimistic theater major named Theo, tried at first, poking at my shell with bad puns and microwave burritos, but eventually he learned the rhythm. I'd nod, I'd grunt, I'd leave scribbled notes on the fridge. Out late. Don't wait. He stopped asking about the hoodie after the third time I flinched at his touch on the sleeve. That's how Lincoln found me, or rather, crashed into me. It was the first week of sophomore year, in the crowded quad between classes, when a rogue frisbee, launched by some overzealous frat pledge, sailed straight for my head. I didn't dodge. I froze, hoodie shadowing my face as always. But then strong hands yanked me sideways, and I tumbled into a solid chest that smelled like pine soap and fresh laundry. "Whoa, easy there, hoodie guy," a voice rumbled, warm and laced with that easy Pacific Northwest drawl. I looked up, way up, into hazel eyes framed by lashes that should have been illegal on a guy. Lincoln Hayes, 6'2" of lacrosse player build, with tousled chestnut hair and a grin that could disarm a bomb. He was the kind of all-American poster boy who'd grown up surfing the Oregon coast, judging by the faded tan lines on his neck. "You okay? That thing had your name on it." I nodded, mumbling a yeah, that came out more like a croak. He didn't push, just handed back my backpack, which had spilled notebooks across the grass, and said, "Lincoln, see you around." I managed a thumbs up, which he laughed at, deep and genuine, like he'd just heard the punchline to life's big joke. He did see me around. A lot. At first, it was coincidences. Bumping into him at the campus coffee cart, where he'd slide an extra shot of espresso my way with a wink. For the quiet ones, they need the kick. Then it was study sessions in the library, where he'd plop down across from me uninvited, cracking open his poli-sci textbook while sneaking glances over the pages. "You're Hudson, right? Environmental whiz. Theo talks about you like you're the second coming of Greta Thunberg." Theo, of course. My roommate had a mouth like a megaphone. I scribbled on a napkin, "He exaggerates." Lincoln read it, chuckled, and wrote back, "Good. Means there's more to discover." Discover. The word lodged in my chest like a hook. No one had tried to discover me since Jamie. People saw the hoodie and assumed, brooding artist, emo phase, or just socially awkward. Lincoln saw something. He started leaving notes in my locker. Yeah, he figured out my combo from Theo, little sketches of Puget Sound waves or quotes from Whitman. "I am large, I contain multitudes." I kept them all, tucked in the hoodie's pocket like talismans. By midterms, we were inseparable. Not dates, not yet, just us. Late-night walks along the Burke-Gilman Trail, where the city lights danced on the water and he'd talk about everything. His little sister back in Astoria, the way his dad bailed when he was 10, how lacrosse was his therapy for the anger he couldn't name. "You don't have to talk, Hud," he'd say, bumping my shoulder. "Listening's my love language anyway. Hud." Only Jamie ever called me that. The first time Lincoln did, my heart stuttered, and I almost bolted. But his hand on my arm, gentle, steady, kept me rooted. "Tell me about the hoodie sometime," he murmured one night, as we sat on the ferry to Bainbridge Island, the salt wind whipping around us. "It looks like it's got stories." I pulled the hood tighter, staring at the dark waves below. Stories? It had one. Jamie's laugh echoing in the cab of his truck, his hand on my thigh as we drove home from our first real date. A bonfire on Cannon Beach where he carved our initials into driftwood. H+J, he'd said, eyes sparkling under the stars. Hudson and Jamie, against the world. 3 months later, the world fought back. Drunk driver, head on. I walked away with bruises and silence. He didn't walk away at all. I couldn't tell Lincoln then. The words were barbed wire in my throat. Instead, I leaned into him, letting my head rest on his shoulder for the first time. He didn't move, just wrapped an arm around me, solid as the ferry's hull. That was the night I first felt the thaw, the slow melt of grief into something dangerously like hope. Fall turned to winter, and with it, the inevitable. Our first kiss happened under the Space Needle during the holiday market, snow flurries dusting the air like confetti. We'd been wandering the stalls, him teasing me about my aversion to peppermint mochas. "It's like drinking Christmas in a cup." When he stopped, cupped my face with gloved hands, and said, "Hud, you're killing me with those eyes." Then his lips were on mine, soft, tentative, tasting of gingerbread and promise. I kissed back, hoodie forgotten, the world narrowing to the warmth of him. After that, it was us. Real us. Sleepovers in his off-campus apartment, where he'd cook spaghetti carbonara from a recipe his mom sent, and we'd watch old John Hughes films, mocking the cheese while quoting lines verbatim. He'd trace the veins on my wrists, asking about the tattoos I didn't have yet, and I'd finally whisper fragments. "Grew up in a trailer park. Mom's a nurse, works doubles. Dad, gone before I was born." He listened, never pushing, but his eyes said, "I see you." Sex was part of it, but not the point. Not in the frantic, performative way I'd feared. It was exploratory, tender. Hands learning bodies in the dim glow of streetlights filtering through blinds. Lincoln was patient, whispering affirmations like prayers. "You're beautiful, Hud. Every scar, every shadow." And God, I believed him. For the first time since Jamie, I felt whole. But shadows have a way of lengthening. It started with the calls. Late nights when I'd wake to Lincoln pacing the kitchen. Phone pressed to his ear, voice low and urgent. "I can't, man. Not now." I'd pretend to sleep, but the pieces didn't fit. Then the bruises, faint at first on his knuckles, explained away as rough practice. Lacrosse didn't leave finger-shaped marks on your ribs. One February evening, after a game where he scored the winning goal, we celebrated at a dive bar near campus. The team was there, rowdy and beer-soaked, but Lincoln stuck to me like glue, his arm a constant anchor around my waist. "Proud of you," I murmured, my voice rusty but gaining strength. He'd coaxed it out of me over months. First words, then sentences like drawing water from a well. He grinned, kissing my temple. Couldn't without my good luck charm. But as the night wore on, his phone buzzed incessantly. He silenced it once, twice, then excused himself to the alley out back. I followed after 10 minutes, the cold air slapping my face as I pushed through the door. There he was, under the flickering neon sign, arguing with a guy I didn't recognize. Tall, wiry, with a leather jacket and eyes like chipped ice. "You think you can just ghost me, Hayes? After everything?" The stranger's voice was venom. Lincoln's back was to me, shoulders rigid. "It's over, Derek. I told you." "Over? Bullshit. You're playing house with that mute freak in the hoodie, and you think that erases us?" Derek's laugh was ugly, slicing through the night. My blood turned to ice. Mute freak. He knew about the hoodie, about me. Lincoln's head snapped up, spotting me in the doorway. "Hud, wait." But I was already running, the bar door slamming behind me, the rain starting again as if the sky wept for fools. I didn't stop until I hit my dorm, hoodie drenched, chest heaving. Theo was out, thank God, and I curled on my bed, the fabric of the hoodie, Jamie's hoodie, smothering me like guilt. Lincoln pounded on the door 20 minutes later. Hudson, please, let me explain. His voice cracked, raw with something that sounded like fear. I cracked the door, just enough to see his face. Streaked with rain, eyes red-rimmed. Who's Derek? The words clawed out, sharper than I'd meant. He deflated, leaning against the frame. Ex, from freshman year. It was toxic. He won't let go. Pause heavy as lead. But you, God, Hud, you're not a freak. You're everything. I wanted to believe him. The way he looked at me, like I was the only dry land in a flood. But doubt is a weed, and it rooted fast. He knew about the hoodie, about me being quiet. Lincoln winced. Theo might have mentioned it. Or the team. Small campus. It wasn't enough. Not quite. But when he stepped inside, pulling me into his arms, I let him. We didn't talk more that night. Just held on. The storm raging outside as if mirroring the one in my chest. Spring brought fragile peace. Cherry blossoms bloomed along the quad, and we rebuilt. Therapy sessions for me, where I finally unpacked Jamie's death with a stranger who didn't flinch. Boundaries for him, blocking Derek's number, confiding in his coach about the harassment. Lincoln showed up for it all, holding my hand through panic attacks, driving me to the coast for reset weekends, where we'd hike the headlands, scattering Jamie's old mixtape CDs into the surf like offerings. I love you, he said one sunset, perched on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, the words casual as breathing, but his eyes were serious, searching mine. I swallowed, the hoodie loose around my neck, still on, but the hood down more often now. Love you too. It was the first time I'd said it aloud since Jamie. Lincoln's smile could have lit the fading sky. But betrayal doesn't announce itself with fanfare. Creeps quiet as fog. It was May, finals looming, when I found the letters, tucked in the glove box of Lincoln's truck, while he was inside grabbing takeout from our favorite Thai place. Envelopes postmarked Astoria, addressed in a scrawl I didn't recognize. Curiosity one. I opened one. You think you can run from family, Link? Dad's dying. Liver failure. Says he wants to see his real son before the end. Not the fairy who's ashamed of us. Come home or Mom's next on the list of who hears the truth. The paper crumpled in my fist. Family. Lincoln had never mentioned a dying dad, or threats. My mind reeled. Flashes of his bruises. The calls, Derek's taunt about playing house. Was this connected? Or worse, had he been hiding more? He slid into the driver's seat minutes later, bag of pad thai swinging. Miss me. Grin fading as he saw my face. Hud? What's? I thrust the letter at him. Explain. His color drained. Shit. Okay. My dad's an alcoholic asshole who disowned me when I came out in high school. Mom stayed, God knows why. He reached out last month, cancer, not liver failure, but close enough. Wants forgiveness or whatever. I ignored it. And the threats. He rubbed his neck, avoiding my eyes. Derek's his nephew. Distant, but yeah, that's how they knew about us. Family grapevine. Pieces clicked. The calls from Astoria. The bruises from family reunions he dodged. You lied to me. No, Hud, I was protecting you. Protecting us. He's poison, and I didn't want him tainting this. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. By letting him stalk you? By keeping secrets. My voice rose, cracking on the edges. I thought we were past hiding. We are. This is old shit. Baggage from before. Before me. The words hung bitter. I grabbed the door handle. I need air. Hud, wait. But I was out, walking the misty streets of Capitol Hill, hoodie up like old times. Hours later, back at my dorm, Theo ambushed me with hot cocoa and zero judgment. Spill or I'll sing show tunes till you do. I spilled. All of it. Jamie, the silence, Lincoln's light cracking me open, the shadows closing in. Theo hugged me when I finished, fierce and unyielding. You're not broken, dude. You're Hudson, brave as hell for even trying. If he can't match that, fuck him. But I couldn't fuck him out of my heart. Not yet. Lincoln showed up at dawn, eyes shadowed, holding a peace offering. That driftwood from our first date. Initials carved fresh, H+L. I told them everything, he said, voice hoarse. Mom knows. Derek's cut off. Dad. I wrote him back. No contact. Ever. For us. I took the wood, tracing the letters. Promise. Promise. And when he kissed me, slow and sure, I believed. Again. Summer stretched lazy and golden. We sublet a tiny cabin on Whidbey Island. Days spent kayaking the inlets. Nights tangled in sheets with the windows open to the cricket chorus. Lincoln taught me to surf, wiping out spectacularly, laughing till my sides ached. And I showed him the quiet joy of tittapooling, pointing out anemones like hidden treasures. The hoodie stayed in the suitcase, a relic I wasn't ready to bury but could finally set aside. You're different here, he said one evening, as we roasted marshmallows over a fire pit, stars pricking the velvet sky. Lighter. You make me lighter. I leaned into him, head on his chest, listening to the steady thump of his heart. Thank you for waiting. Always. His fingers threaded through my hair. Gentle. Love all of you, hoodie and all. But autumn loomed, and with it, the call that shattered everything. It was the first week back on campus, orientation chaos swirling, when Lincoln's phone rang during our coffee run. He answered, face paling. Mom? Slow down, what? I froze, cup halfway to my lips. When he hung up, his eyes were glassy. Dad's gone. Overdose. Pills and booze. She found him this morning. I'm sorry. The words felt inadequate, but I pulled him close right there in the quad, ignoring the stares. He buried his face in my neck, shoulders shaking. Not with sobs, but the silent heave of relief tangled with guilt. The funeral was in Astoria, a gray-skied affair in a clapboard church that smelled of salt and sorrow. Lincoln's mom was a wisp of a woman, eyes like faded sea glass, hugging him tight enough to bruise. He loved you in his way, she whispered. Derek lurked in the back pew, glare like daggers, but a burly uncle, Lincoln's coach's contact, escorted him out before the service started. After, at the graveside, rain pattering on the black umbrellas, Lincoln spoke, eulogy short and sharp. He taught me what not to be, and that's enough. Then, to me, aside, missed you in there, felt like I could breathe with you close. We drove back to Seattle that night, the coastal highway a blur of headlights and heartache. In the truck, his truck, not Jamie's, silence stretched heavy. You okay? I asked finally, hand on his thigh. He nodded, then shook his head. Ask me tomorrow. Tonight, just be here. I was, all night, holding him as ghosts whispered in the dark. The fracture came weeks later, insidious as erosion. Lincoln withdrew. Classes skipped, practices half-hearted. Our dates reduced to Netflix binges where he'd stare through the screen. Just grieving, he'd say, forcing a smile. But his eyes were distant, like he was paddling out to sea alone. I pushed gently at first. Talk to me, like I talk to you. He'd deflect. I'm fine, really. Then sharper. Give me space. Okay? Not everything's a project. Project. The word stung, echoing every therapy breakthrough he'd cheered me through. Was I a project? The mute boy fixed by love? Doubt festered. I threw myself into research, a thesis on coastal erosion, ironic mirror to my crumbling trust. Theo noticed, dragging me to poetry slams where I'd scribble verses on napkins. Waves where stone to sand slash what remains is hollow echo. One night, post-midterms, I came home early to our shared lease. Lincoln had insisted on moving in. For the long haul, the apartment was dark, but his truck was parked outside. I heard voices from the bedroom, low, urgent. Can't keep pretending, Link. He's sweet, but you're not over me. Us. Derek. That snake oil voice, slithering through the door crack. I pushed it open, heart slamming. Lincoln on the bed, shirtless, Derek inches away, hand on his chest, intimate. They sprang apart, but the damage was done. Lincoln's face crumpled. It's not. Derek smirked, straightening. Told you he'd find out. Kid gloves off, Hayes. Choose. Get out, I whispered, then louder. Both of you. Now. Derek sauntered past, shoulder-checking me. Your boy's got history, Hoodie. Ask about the bruises. He liked it rough. The door clicked shut. Lincoln stood, hands out like placating a wild animal. He cornered me after practice. Said if I didn't hear him out, he'd tell the team everything. About Dad. The letters, how I'm unstable. I was trying to end it for good. Liar. The word exploded from me, fueled by months of half-truths. You let him touch you. In our bed. No, God, no. I swear. Tears tracked his cheeks. I love you, Hudson. Only you. But love? Felt like quicksand now, pulling me under. I can't. Not anymore. I grabbed the hoodie from the closet, Jamie's, my armor, and fled into the night. Rain again. Seattle's faithful companion. I wandered to the waterfront, the Ferris wheel's lights mocking me with their spin. There, under the pier, I sank to the boards, hoodie sodden, and finally screamed, wordless primal, releasing 731 days of silence in one guttural roar. The next days blurred. Classes attended in a daze, Theo's worried hovering, Lincoln's texts. Please, talk. I need you. I ghosted him, mirroring his family's cruelty. Buried in the library stacks, I found solace in data. Tides predictable, unlike hearts. But grief is a tide too, ebbing to reveal wreckage. A week in, Lincoln cornered me outside lecture hall. Rain sheeting down. Hudson James Whitaker. Look at me. I did. He was wrecked. Stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes hollow. I fucked up. Badly. Derek's gone. I filed a restraining order. But that's not the point. The point is you. You pulled me from my own dark water, and I dragged you back under. I'm sorry doesn't cut it, but let me fix it. How? My voice was steel but cracking. By being honest. All of it. He pulled an envelope from his jacket, crumpled, tear-stained. This is from Dad's stuff. Mom sent it after the funeral. He wrote it years ago when he found out about me. Hates himself more than me, I think. I took it unread. Why now? Because I almost lost you, and I realized Jamie's hoodie is not armor, HUD. It's memory, and memories don't have to chain you. He stepped closer, rain dripping from his hair. I want to make new ones. With you. If you'll let me. The dam broke. Not with anger, but sobs deep, wrenching, the kind that hollow you out. Lincoln pulled me close, hoodie and all, murmuring nonsense into my hair. I've got you. Always. We talked that night, really talked. In his truck, parked on a bluff overlooking the sound. Engine off, windows fogged. I told him about Jamie, every jagged shard. The bonfire kisses, the highway horror, the silence as self-punishment. I thought if I stopped speaking, I'd stop hurting the people I love. He listened, hand in mine. Then his turn. The beatings from Dad, masked as tough love. Derek's manipulation, a toxic echo. The fear that he'd inherited the rot. You made me believe I could be better. Deserve better. Dawn crept in, pink and forgiving. What now? I asked, voice steady for the first time. Now, we heal. Together. He kissed my knuckles. And maybe, retire the hoodie? Not forget. Just, room for us. I nodded, slipping it off right there, folding it carefully on the seat. Skin to skin, vulnerable. Deal. The months that followed weren't fairy tale smooth. Therapy doubled. Joint sessions where we unpacked our baggage, laughing through tears at the absurdity. Lincoln's team rallied. A chosen family fiercer than blood. I defended my thesis, hood down, voice clear, earning applause that felt like absolution. Graduation came in June, sun-drenched and surreal. Caps tossed, gowns swirling. Lincoln in the crowd with a sign. Hudson Whitaker. Survivor, lover, legend. We drove south after, to Cannon Beach, the driftwood still there, weathered but whole. I scattered a pinch of Jamie's ashes I'd kept hidden, whispering, thanks for the hoodie. It got me here. Lincoln added his own. a lock of his hair, tied with twine. For the new chapter. We stood there, arms linked, waves crashing like applause. Betrayal had scarred us, but scars are stories too. Proof of survival, of love's stubborn return. Now, a year on, in our cramped apartment in Portland, full circle but forward, Lincoln coaches youth lacrosse, channeling his fire into kids who need it. I work for a coastal conservation nonprofit, mapping tides that shift but never surrender. The hoodie, framed on the wall, a relic of ghosts laid to rest. Last night, over takeout and bad TV, he turned to me, hazel eyes soft. You spoke up that first time in the rain. Remember? I grinned, pulling him close. How could I forget? You were worth the words. And in the quiet after, as his breathing evened into sleep, I whispered to the dark. We made it, Jamie. Against the world. Life post-graduation wasn't the seamless montage I'd half expected. No swelling strings, no instant resolution to the mess we'd made of ourselves. Portland welcomed us with its hipster haze and microbrew abundance. But the undercurrent was the same. The pull of past wounds, testing the seams of our patched-together whole. Lincoln threw himself into coaching with a zeal that bordered on manic, volunteering extra hours at the community center where he'd wrangled a part-time gig. These kids, he'd say, collapsing onto our thrift store couch with grass stains on his knees. They're me at 14, angry, lost, swinging sticks like weapons. If I can show 'em it's a game, not a war. I'd nod, stirring whatever sad excuse for dinner I'd managed. Usually quinoa bowls with whatever veggies were wilting in the fridge, while stealing glances at the framed hoodie on the wall. It caught the light sometimes, that coffee stain a Rorschach of memory, and I'd wonder if Jamie would approve. Would he see Lincoln's light and know it wasn't replacement, but refraction? Love bending through grief to emerge warmer? My job was the steady pulse to his rhythm. Fieldwork surveys along the rugged Oregon coast, knee-deep in kelp beds, logging erosion rates that mirrored my own slow rebuild. The nonprofit was small, scrappy. Overworked staffers in fleece vests, fueled by bad coffee and big dreams of saving the shoreline from climates indifferent March. My boss, a no-nonsense geologist named Rita with salt and pepper braids and a laugh like gravel, took one look at my resume and said, "Silent type, huh? Good. Data doesn't talk back." But I did talk now, halting at first in meetings, then with a confidence that surprised even me. If we model the accretion zones here, I'd say, pointer hovering over satellite maps, we can predict breach points before the next storm season. Rita's nod was gold, Lincoln's grin at pickup even better. My environmental hero, he'd tease, slinging an arm around me as we drove home, windows down to the briny air, still cracks spiderwebbed. Lincoln's mom visited once, a tentative bridge over the chasm his dad had left. She arrived with Tupperware of clam chowder and eyes that darted like she expected traps. "Heard so much," she said over dinner, her voice thin as the soup steam. Lincoln tensed beside me, fork midway to mouth. "All good, I hope?" I ventured, aiming for levity. She smiled, small, cracked, but it stuck when I asked about Astoria, drawing out stories of Lincoln as a kid, building forts from crab pots, racing bikes down dunes. By dessert, she'd patted my hand. "You ground him, Hudson. Thank you." He exhaled after she left, hugging me fierce in the doorway. Didn't know I needed that. But later, in bed, his fingers traced my ribs like mapping fault lines. "What if I'm not enough? For her? For you? You're everything?" I murmured, kissing the worry crease between his brows. But doubt is contagious, and mine whispered back, "What if you're not?" Derek's shadow lingered too, a ghost unwilling to fade. The restraining order held, court dates I'd sat through stone-faced, his glares bouncing off like rain on glass. But rumors slithered through Lincoln's old team chats, whispers of unstable and dramatic. One night, after a particularly brutal practice where a dad chewed Lincoln out for going easy on the pansy recruits, he came home slamming cabinets, voice a whip. "Fuck this town. Everyone knows everyone's shit, and mine's the juiciest." I reached for him, he flinched. "Not you. Never you." But the flinch lingered, a hairline fracture. We patched with date nights. Cliché but necessary. Picnic in Washington Park, where rhododendrons bloomed riotous, or kayaking the Willamette at sunset, our paddles dipping in sync. One evening, drifting under the bridges, he pulled out a ring. Simple tungsten band, etched with waves. Not proposal, not yet. Just promise that we're in this, storms and all. Tears pricked. I slid it on, the weight grounding. Storms and all. But promises test in tempests. Fall brought the nor'easter. A monster swell that chewed the coast like a dog with a bone. My team mobilized. Sandbagging dunes, evac advisories. Me in the thick, waders sucking mud as waves clawed higher. Lincoln fretted from afar, texts pinging. Be safe. Love you. Then the call. Our sight hit hard, a section of bluff sheared away, taking gear and nearly a colleague. I stumbled into the motel that night, team crash pad. Shaking, salt-crusted, the hoodie's absence a phantom itch. Rita clapped my back. Solid work, Whitaker. Get some shut-eye. But sleep evaded, adrenaline crashing into what-ifs. Lincoln drove through the night, arriving at dawn with coffee and clean clothes. Couldn't not, he said, pulling me into the scratchy bedspread, holding tight as I finally shattered. Sobs for the lost land, the near miss, the fragility of it all. You're my anchor, he whispered. Don't you dare wash away. We drove home 2 days later, the ring glinting like a lighthouse. But en route, his phone buzzed. A number I didn't know. He silenced it, jaw tight. Spam. I let it go. Shouldn't have. Winter hunkered in, gray and relentless. Holiday lights twinkled defiant. But Lincoln dimmed. Coaching amped up, but his energy waned. Nights scrolling old photos, Astoria tags haunting his feed. Just missing the water, he'd say. But his eyes said more, loss, layered. Theo visited for New Year's. Our Portland pied-a-terre bursting with his chaos, drag show tickets and bottomless mimosas. To fresh starts, he toasted, clinking glasses. Lincoln forced laughs, but midway through the countdown, he slipped out to the balcony, phone in hand. I followed, chill nipping. Everything okay? Yeah, just, Mom. She's dating someone. Cannery guy. His smile was brittle. Good for her, right? Right. But the lie hung. Later, buzzed and bold, I checked his phone. Trust eroded to curiosity's acid. Texts from D. Derek? Unblocked somehow. Miss you. That kid's cute. But I'm home. Astoria waits. My stomach plummeted. I confronted him at dawn. Hangover be damned. Why? He woke bleary, then guilty. He messaged after the funeral. Said he was sorry, wanted to make amends. For Mom's sake, family unity bullshit. I told him no, but he keeps trying. And you let him. The ring burned on my finger. After everything. It's not HUD. I blocked him again. Swear. But swears are cheap. I slept on the couch that night. The hoodie. Unframed in my haste. Draped over like a shield. Theo mediated breakfast, awkward as hell. Talk it out, you idiots. Love's not a solo sport. We tried. Walks in Forest Park, where Douglas firs whispered forgiveness, but words stuck. I feel like I'm drowning you, he admitted one fog-shrouded morning. My mess spilling over. You're not. But was I? My own therapy lapsed. Sessions skipped for fieldwork, silence creeping back like moss. The break came in February, Valentine's shadow long. Lincoln's team had a tournament in Seaside, irony thick as chowder, and I tagged along, support turned spectator. Post-win, celebrations spilled into a beach bonfire, flames licking the night. Laughter roared, but Lincoln wandered, bottle in hand, toward the surf. I found him there, waves gnashing, Derek materializing like a bad sequel, leather jacket, smirk intact. Coach Hayes. Celebrating solo? Leave, Derek. Lincoln's voice slurred slight. Too many beers? Derek laughed. Come on. For old times. That Portland boy's fun. But I'm the one who knows your edges. I stepped from shadows, heart thunder. Back off. Derek whirled. Hoodie returns. Cute. Lincoln straightened, swaying. "Hud, go back. I got this." But he didn't. Words escalated. Derek's barbs about family trait, running from real men. And Lincoln swung, wild, connecting with air. Derek tackled him into the sand, fists flying. I lunged, pulling Derek off, tasting blood from a stray elbow. Sirens wailed. Team broke it up. Cops came, statements taken under floodlights. Lincoln's knuckles split, my lips swelling, marks of chaos. Hotel room after, ice packs in silence. "I'm sorry," he choked, head in hands. "He's in my head." Dad's echo. I touched his shoulder, tentative. "Then let me help exorcise it." We drove home dawn-lit, bruised but breathing. Therapy restarted, couples now raw and revelatory. Lincoln confronted his mom's calls, setting boundaries. No more Derek Bridges. He's toxic. Spring thawed us slow. Coastal blooms, wild irises nodding to sun, and with them, growth. I led a youth workshop on erosion. Kids wide-eyed as I shared. Shorelines shift, but roots hold. Lincoln watched from back, pride softening his gaze. One May evening, post-workshop, we hiked Multnomah Falls, mist veiling the cascade. At the bridge, he dropped to knee, ring upgraded, sapphire inlay like sea glass. "Hudson, marry me?" "Not despite the storms, because we weathered them." Tears blurred the water. "Yes, God, yes." The wedding was small, summer solstice, Cannon Beach, Theo officiating in sequins, Rita toasting with field notes. Vows exchanged barefoot in sand. I promised to listen when words fail, to hold when hands shake. Rings slid on, simple bands now matched. Moonrise found us dancing to a portable speaker. Slow sway to the national, waves our rhythm. "Happy?" he murmured into my hair. "Whole." And I was no hoodie needed, just us, scarred and shining. But life scripts twists. Fall brought Rita's diagnosis, stage 3, aggressive. "Take point on the north sector," she said, voice steady as ever. "Someone's gotta save this damn coast." I did, channeling her grit into grants and gridlines. Lincoln coached through it, but grief shadowed, his own fresh, now layered. Nights, he'd hold me as I mapped her decline. Chemo rounds, good days baking cookies, bad ones staring at walls. She passed in November, leaves turning fire. Funeral by the sea, ashes to wind, her laugh in every gust. "Keep eroding the bullshit," her note read, tucked in my desk. Winter weighed heavy, but we leaned in. Holiday cards signed the Hayes Whitakers, a future etched. Lincoln's mom visited again, solo stronger, bringing stories sans strings. "Proud of you both," she said, hugging tight. New Year's, Theo in town, we toasted to roots. Fireworks burst over the river, reflections dancing. Now spring again, anniversary nearing. Lincoln surprises with a road trip. Astoria, Closure's curve. We walk the pier, salt sharp, him pointing kid haunts. At the cemetery, Dad's stone mossy. We leave a lacrosse stick, carved forgive yourself. Driving back, hand in his, I feel it. Not end, but continuum. Betrayal's scar fades, love's tide renews. The boy in the hoodie spoke, and in speaking, found his voice, his home, his horizon. Marriage didn't armor us against the ordinary wars. The ones fought over thermostats and takeout orders. The quiet erosions of routine that grind smoother than any storm. Portland's rhythm suited us, though. Bike commutes through rose-lined streets, weekend markets where Lincoln haggled for heirloom tomatoes like a pro. Me sketching erosion models on napkins while he charmed vendors. Our apartment evolved, bookshelves sagging under field guides and poli-sci tomes. A king bed that swallowed our tangled sleeps. The hoodie frame joined by Rita's urn on a shelf, silver and stoic. But the first year tested vows like acid on metal. Lincoln's coaching gig expanded. Head roll at a rec league, drawing scouts' eyes for pro pipelines, and with it, pressure. Late practices meant cold dinners. My solo evenings staring at laptop screens. Data blurring into worry. "You're building empires," I'd say when he stumbled in, cleats dangling from fingers. "Don't forget the kingdom." He'd laugh, pulling me kitchenward for half-hearted dances to whatever playlist shuffled. Springsteen one night, Hosier the next. You're the kingdom, Hud. Rest is noise. But his eyes, hazel flecked with fatigue, told of deeper churn. Imposter syndrome, the whisper that a reformed queer kid from a broken home didn't deserve the whistle. My work ramped too, leading a multi-site restoration project, boots in mud from Cannon to Coos Bay, coordinating with feds whose bureaucracy moved like continental drift. Successes piled, berms reinforced, habitats revived. But each grant deadline echoed Rita's gravel voice. Don't just map the loss, fight it. Nights I'd pace voice memos to self. Accretion rates up 12% post-intervention. Push for phase 2. We collided in the gaps. One April evening, rain lashing windows, I snapped over forgotten laundry. His practice gear mildewing in the hamper. I can't be made and mapmaker link. He recoiled, towel mid-snap. Didn't ask you to. Shit. I'm sorry. Scout meeting ran long. Sorry's currencies inflating. The words landed meaner than meant, born of exhaustion. Silence stretched. Then he nodded, retreating to the couch. I slept alone, ring cold against skin. Morning brought coffee in bed, his peace flag and apologies layered thick. We're good, he asked, thumb tracing my jaw. Better than good. But the fault line hummed. Summer scorched in, heat waves warping the Willamette. We escaped to the cabin on Whidbey, our ritual now with wedding bands glinting in sun. Kayaks cut glassy water. Picnics under Madronis where I'd read Whitman aloud. His head in my lap. I sing the body electric. Lincoln's fingers would wander. Lazy traces over collarbone, eliciting shivers. Sing me, he'd murmur, pulling me down to mossy earth. Love-making slow as tide rise. Bodies remembering, reaffirming. But even idols crack. Midway through, his phone buzzed insistent. Unknown number. He ignored 3, then 4. Telemarketer, he muttered. But tension coiled his shoulders. Who? I pressed, sunscreen sticky hand on his. Old teammate, from college. Wants catch-up. Dismissive but evasive. Evasion's our old foe. That night, fireflies winking, I found the texts deleted, but recoverable in his habits. Hey Hayes, heard you're hitched. Congrats. Derek says hi. Still owes you that beer for the bruises. Bruises. The ghost reared, fangs bared. I waited till morning, coffee steaming between us on the porch. Derek's circling again? He sighed. Long-suffering. Ex-teammates his puppet. Told him to fuck off. Show me. Reluctant, he did chain of blocks, but the seed planted. Trust. Fragile fern. Wilted slight. Back in Portland, we doubled down. Date jars. Slips with ideas. Drawn weekly. Stargaze on MT Tabor or cook grandma's lasagna. Burn optional. It worked, mostly. Laughter reclaiming space. Touches lingering. But Lincoln scouts amped. Tryouts in Seattle. Whispers of minor leagues. What if? He'd muse, post-run glow fading. Leave you here? Chasing balls? Then chase together. I meant it, relocation dreams, coastal gigs aplenty. But fear flickered, his a failure, mine a fracture. Fall foliage fired the gorge, and with it, opportunity. Lincoln landed an assistant coach spot with a semi-pro team. Commute to Vancouver, Washington, but stable. Celebration dinner at our favorite oyster bar. Toasts with Sauvignon Blanc. To empires, he clinked, eyes alight. To us. Ring finger kiss, promise renewed. But November's chill brought Mom's call, his not mine. Wedding anniversary for her second. He explained, voice tight. Cannery guy's solid, but invites Derek as family friend. My fork paused mid-air, oyster forgotten. Go without me? Nah, we're a package. But the invite loomed, specter at feast. We went neutral ground, Astoria's holiday lights twinkling like uneasy truce. His mom beamed. New husband Bill a teddy bear type with calloused hands and dad jokes. Derek slunk in late, suit ill-fit, eyes raking us like inventory. Hayes, Whitaker, domestic bliss suits you. Lincoln's jaw ticked. Derek. Small talk strangled. Weather, waves, wedding pics passed like evidence. Under table, Lincoln's hand gripped mine, anchor. But Derek's barbs needled. Link always was the charmer. Remember that summer tourney, Hudson? Bruises from practice. Wild times. Bill chuckled oblivious. Mom's smile faltered. I squeezed back. Steady. Post-dinner, pier walk, air brined, lights reflecting. Sorry, Lincoln muttered. Should have said no. You protected her heart. Pause. But mine. He stopped, facing me under sodium glow. Yours is priority. Always. Kiss then, fierce, claiming Derek's shadow shrinking. December deepened. Solstice wedding echo. We hosted friends. Theo in from Seattle. Drag queen flair undimmed. Rita's old team, toasting her legacy. Tree trimmed with coastal shells. Lights twinkling. Midnight, under mistletoe, Lincoln whispered, Year 1. Survived. Year 2. Thrive. Thrive. I echoed, heart full. But thriving tests. January storm. Freak blizzard blanketing Portland. My fieldwork halted. Lincoln's practices canceled. Cabin fever set. Board games devolving to bickering, Monopoly bankruptcies mirroring moods. You're hogging boardwalk, I'd gripe, half jest. You're stalling on Baltic, he'd retort, then laugh, tension release. One snowed-in night, power out, candles guttering, we talked deep. Future sketched. Kids maybe, via surrogacy. House hunt in the hills, his pro dreams, my PhD whispers. We're building, he said, fingers laced. Brick by stubborn brick. February thawed. Valentine's velvet. He planned surprise. Hot air balloon over the valley. Dawn gold gilding vines. Updraft lifted us, world shrinking to patchwork beauty. See, he said, arms around from behind. From here, cracks don't show. Only because we're flying together. Spring bloomed vengeful, pollen choking, my allergies a plague. Lincoln mothered. Neti pots, honey locals, bedtime stories red nasal. My warrior, he'd tease, kissing forehead. But warriors weary. A grant rejection hit. Funding cut for duplicative efforts. Rita's project gutted. I spiraled. Desk pounding, voice memos deleted in rage. Lincoln found me there, head in hands. Hey, breathe. Can't. It's her work. Our fight. Then fight smarter. He pulled me up. Walk insisted. Laurelhurst Park. Ducks quacking judgment. Loss isn't end. It's data. Data. He echoed my mantra, turning tide. We revised proposal, nights huddled, his poli-sci spin on policy hooks. Submitted dawn, coffee cold. Acceptance came May. Funding tripled. Expansion greenlit. Team beers at the pub, Rita's ghost grinning. Lincoln toasted loud. To Hudson, eroder of impossible. Summer circled back, Whidbey calling. This time, no ghosts, just us. Kayaks carving, bonfire confessions light. Year 2, he said, stars wheeling. Stronger seams. Steel welded. Lovemaking under canopy. Bodies verse to his Whitman song. Fall's harvest moon rose, and with it, news. Lincoln's semi-pro promotion. Full assistant, travel light. Proud? He asked, grin boyish. Bursting. But under, flicker of alone nights, trust's old scar itching. We navigated. Calendars synced. Video calls scripted. First away game. Eugene, one night, he FaceTimed pregame. Win for you. Post-win. Hotel hum. Miss your voice. Sing me to sleep. I did husky Whitman, lulling. Distance stretched, but bonds held. Winter solstice, our date. Snow-dusted tree. Friends gathered. Toasts to resilience. Rings reforged in firelight. Now year 3 dawns. Cracks? Patched, pressure-tested. The boy who spoke in rain? He's husband, partner, tidemaster. Love's not absence of storm. It's the hold through. The 3rd year of marriage unfolded like a well-worn map. Familiar contours, but with new landmarks etched by time's insistent pen. Lincoln's promotion meant more road time. His duffel a constant fixture by the door, but we'd mastered the art of bridging miles. Care packages of my homemade granola, his fuel for glory. Playlists curated to his moods. Upbeat indie for bus rides. Soulful folk for hotel solitude. I'd wait up sometimes. Laptop glowing with erosion sims. His call crackling through. Crowd was electric tonight. Scored the assist. Wished you saw. I see you always. I'd reply, voice soft against static. And I did. In the way he'd text photos of motel sunrises. Captioned your light, from afar, or surprised me with wildflower bouquets scavenged from venue lots. Stems wrapped in his sock. My project thrived. Phase 2 launched with fanfare. Earth movers sculpting berms under my watch. Rita's vision terraformed. Media bites followed. Local news spot. Me and waiters. Mic shy but steady. Coasts adapt. So must we. Clips went viral in niche circles, invitations piling, TEDx whispers, conference keynotes. Lincoln clipped them to the fridge. Pride pinned like medals. Hudson Whitaker. Saving the world, one grain at a time. But glory's gleam blinds to undercurrents. August heat baked Portland. Wildfires smudging horizons, and stress simmered. A team injury, Lincoln's star player. ACL tear midgame. Piled blame his way. Parents' emails venomous. Bored murmurs of lax oversight. He internalized. Coming home hollow-eyed. Whistle dangling and used. What if I'm the weak link? He'd mutter. Nursing a beer on the balcony. City hum below. You're the glue. I'd counter. Sliding beside. Hand on knee. Players heal. You build unbreakable. Nods turn to action. Extra drills designed. Psych consults booked. But one night, post-loss, he snapped. My late return from site ignored, dinner cold. Always the hero, HUD. While I'm sidelined. Hurt flared. Supporting you. Like always. Feels like parallel lives. He raked hair, regret instant. Shit. Not that. We circled wagons. Weekend unplug. Columbia Gorge hike. Multnoma's roar drowning doubts. At the top, vista sprawling, he exhaled. You're my summit. Don't let me summit solo. Never. Thou renewed in sweat-slick embrace. Trail dust witness. Fall's palette shifted golds and crimsons, and with it, family tides. My mom visited. Nurse's scrubs swapped for tourist teas. Eyes wide at our fancy life. Trailer park boy, married to a coach? Miracles happen. We laughed over pot roast, her stories of our absurdities pulling Lincoln in. So this guy comes in, says his arms numb. Turns out, squirrel in his sleeve. She saw us raw too, morning coffee, me mapping tides while he reviewed game tape. You too. Click. Like puzzle done right. Her hug at airport. Hold tight, kid. Love's the best medicine. Lincoln's mom echoed. Thanksgiving in Astoria. Bill's turkey a triumph. Derek absent. Banished by her steel. No room for poison. Table talk flowed, her garden plots, his coaching tales. Post-feast walk. Beach combing. She linked arms with me. You saved him, Hudson. From himself. Mutual, I said, agate skipping waves. Lincoln ahead. Tossing for gulls, boy eternal. December dashed in, holidays hectic. Team party. Rowdy, rum-fueled. Lincoln shining host. Me mingling awkward among cleat stompers. A dad cornered him. Heard about the injury. Tough break. Your call. Tone accusatory. Lincoln deflected smooth. Team effort. Kids tougher than us all. But later, drive home. Quiet heavy. Doubting my calls. Trust your gut. Hand squeeze. Light shift. Solstice hours. Tree adorned with shells and stars. Friends toasting. Theo's gift. Custom jerseys. Hayes Whitaker forever. Laughter lit the room. But Lincoln's toast cut deep. To us, third year, stronger roots. Winter gripped, January's gray a shroud. Wildfire smoke lingered in lungs, my surveys showing accelerated loss, data damming. A funder meeting tanked, budget slashes, project teetering. I raged home, slamming desk. Years of Rita's fight, gutted for spreadsheets. Lincoln waited, arms open. Breathe, then brainstorm. We did nights afire with alternatives. Crowdfunding pitches, partner NGOs. His strategy mind meshed mine. Frame it human stories, not stats. Submission sent, hope fragile thread. February frosted, Valentine's velvet again. He countered stress with whimsy. Scavenger hunt through city. Clues at our first kiss spot. Coffee cart note. Espresso shot for the quiet one. Wedding beach proxy. Shell and park sand. Waves for our dance. End. Rooftop picnic. City sprawl below. Champagne fizzing. You chase tides, he said, ring twirling mine. I chase you. Caught me. Stars wheeled. Love's constellation. Spring surged. Irises defiant. My allergies a comic foil. Project saved. Viral campaign. Donors flooding. Keynote accepted. Coastal conference. Me keynoting. Lincoln prepped me. Mirror rehearsals. His cheers louder than crowds. Conference week. Bend. High desert dry. Nerves jangled. Lincoln drove. Pep talking. You've got this. Rita's gravel in your voice. Stage lights hot. Slides clicking. Erosion tales, adaptation anthems. Applause thundered. Q&A flowed. Backstage. His hug crushed. Fucking legend. Drive home. High fading to quiet. Proud. I asked, vulnerable. Bursting. Like always. Summer solstice. 4th anniversary. Whidbey ritual evolved. Kayaks. Bonfire. Now with rings patina. Confessions lighter. His scout chats for head coach, my PhD applications. Empire builders. He teased. Flames gilding. Kingdom kings. Night sealed in stars. Bodies him. But autumn's equinox brought equilateral strain. Lincoln's interview, pro team, Olympia, nailed. Offer pending. Relocate. He broached, tentative over stir-fry. Opposed? No. Excited. But under uprooting roots, my project's anchor. We weighed. Pros, his dream, coastal commute. Cons, upheaval. Together, we vowed decision duel. Offer came, yes. Packing commenced, boxes labeled fragile. Hopes. Move day, U-Haul groaning, friends hauling. Portland farewell. Last oyster bar toast. Theo tearful. Don't forget us peasants. Olympia embraced. Smaller. Saltier. Capitol dome gleaming. New apartment. Harbor view. Creaky floors. Job hunt mine. Remote hybrid. Surveys hybrid. Lincoln's first game. Stands packed. Me cheering loudest. Wind sealed with kiss, crowd be damned. Winter in new digs, solstice tree by window, waves lapping below. Friends visited, mom too. Fancy digs. His mom hosted Christmas. Bill's ham hero. Year 4 dawned. Cracks? Mended, mosaic stronger. Conference follow-up. Book deal whispers. Rita's legacy inked. Now spring, PhD acceptance letter framed beside Hoodie. Lincoln's whistle blows true. My maps redraw horizons. Storms? We sail. The voice once locked. Roars free, love's gale. The 4th year hardened us like beach glass. Tumbled smooth by time's relentless roll. Edges dulled but iridescence deepened. Olympia's embrace was gentler than Portland's pulse. Narrower streets winding to oyster farms. The sound's arm cradling our days in brined hush. Lincoln's pro team. Minor league but mighty in spirit. Filled his calendar with drills and dashes. But homecomings were rituals. Duffel dropped, arms open. My survey reports abandoned for his debriefs laced with locker room lore. You should have seen Ramirez dodge that check. Poetry in motion, he'd say. Feet propped, my head pillowed on thigh. I'd trace his scars. Lacrosse lattice on knees. Derek's faint ghosts on ribs. Marveling at resilience. Poetry's you, I'd murmur, earning that grin. The one crinkling hazel to gold. Nights we'd cook tandem. His carbonara twirled with my foraged ramps. Wine poured to symphonies on vinyl. Coltrane sax weaving our unwind. My remote setup bloomed, PhD coursework online. Fieldwork hybrid. Weeks in the field. Logging data from bluffs that birthed our story. Rita's project expanded interstate. Grants gushing. I keynote virtually, voice steady as sextant. Adaptation isn't surrender. I'd intone to screens. Lincoln's thumbs up emoji punctuating chats. Book proposal? Greenlit, Tides of Change, Personal and Planetary Resiliences, forward by a climate rockstar. Lincoln Proof Drafts, Red Pen Fierce, More Heart, HUD. Your story's the hook. Heart. Ours beat tandem, but solos played. His team's playoff push meant overnights in Spokane. My dissertation proposal crunching late. One November Eve, snow flurrying, he called postgame. Loss bitter, voice edged. Doubting the lineup again. What if I'm benching the wrong guys? Trust the tape. Echo of his wisdom. And me, I'm right. You are. Static softened. Home tomorrow. Pasta. Extra bacon. Click. Connection held. But solos strained strings. December's gales howled. Mirroring a thunder dust-up. Budget balk. My emails icy. Lincoln walked into storm's wake. Laptop slammed. Me pacing. They gutted the youth ed component. Rita's babies. He brewed tea strong as resolve. Fight data with story. Pitch the kids' voices. Collaborative late. My stats, his narratives from team talks. Proposal revised. Sent dawn. Acceptance pinged week later, full funding, ed arm intact. His fist pump rivaled mine. We make a hell of a team. Holidays layered joy. Olympia lights on evergreen boughs. Mom flying in for solstice. Her first PNW winter. Wonder in mittened hands. Snow like fairy dust. We baked gingerbread. Our tales entertaining. Fellow slipped on ice. Pants down. Moonlit mishap. Lincoln howled. Flower dusted. His family's turn. Astoria Christmas. Bill's lights rivaling Griswold. Mom's garden dormant but dreams abloom. Greenhouse plans sketched. Derek. Distant memory, her no-fly zone. Fireside. Bill clapped Lincoln's back. Proud son. Building boys into men. Lincoln's eyes misted validation velvet. New Year ticked. Theo's virtual bash. Fireworks feed. Toasts fizzy. To fifth wheels. Years. He quipped. Drag filter fabulous. Winter waned. January's thaw tentative. Lincoln's playoffs peaked. Semis in Tacoma. Me courtside, heart hammering with drums. Upset win. Overtime glory, his strategy lauded. Post-game scrum. He broke free. Kissing salt sweat. My talisman. You earned it. Pride swelled. Rings band tight. February's frost-bit dissertation, proposal defense looming. Nerves neural. Lincoln role-played opponent. But Mr. Whitaker, your methodology's flawed. Grilling gentle, building bolster. Defense day virtual, but his suit jacket over chairback his armor. Passed with distinction. Committee's innovative integration bomb. Spring unfurled, capital cherry blossoms pink confetti. Book tour mini. Local reads, crowds intimate. Lincoln emceed first. My husband's not just saving shores, he's reshaping mine. Q&A flowed. Grief to growth. Jamie's hoodie anecdote drawing gasps. Nods. Summer solstice, 5th anniversary, Whidbey pinnacle. Cabin rented long-term now, our bolt hole. Kayaks dawn. Bonfire dusk. Confessions evolved. Kids concrete. Surrogacy consults booked. Little Whitakers. He mused, Esmore sticky. Teaching em waves and winds. Losses too. Balance voiced. Lovemaking firelit. Vows whispered. 5th year, legacy. Fall's harvest reaped bounty. Lincoln's contract extension. Head coach whispers. My book deal inked, pub date spring. Mom's retirement loomed. Nurse no more. Grandkids next? Holiday circuit. Olympia tree. Astoria feast. Solstice intimate. Us two. Candles Coltrane. Toast. To legacies ours woven. Year 5 crests. Cracks? Hone to clarity. Conference in Seattle. Keynote redux. Lincoln in crowd. Ring flashing applause. Post talk. Ferry ride home. Voice like thunder, he said. Yours calls me home. Sound silver, future vast. Now autumn's cusp, PhD fieldwork peaks, his season wins. Hoodie, touchstone, stories sparked. The boy spoke, revealing love's thread, enduring. Against worlds we stand. Scarred, sung, ceaseless. Epilogue whispers, Surrogacy match found, journey new, nested in old strengths. Tides turn. We turn with hands clasped, horizons endless.